Well, they say timing is everything. And in the mob business, I guess the timing of a hit can certainly affect a lot of other things, like an ongoing trial where the prosecution just rested and the defense has said, you know what, we don't do any mean, nasty stuff anymore. We don't kill people. We don't threaten people. Suddenly, we have a first mob hit in Philadelphia in 10 years.
All right, let's get right to Dave Schratweiser because he does our mob talk. He knows all the players. He knows what's going on. Good morning, Dave. Thanks for coming in early.
Good to see you guys again.
All right, you brought a prop today. You're like Dr. Mike, and explain the can opener.
All right, this is an old-fashioned can opener, right, with old days type of thing. I brought this can opener because this case, the charging of Anthony Nicodemo with first-degree murder in this case, can open a real can of worms here for the mob. These guys have been worried about a mob case, a mob murder case, unraveling on them, possibly somebody cooperating. There you see Anthony Nicodemo. That's his old mugshot from New Jersey. We'll be getting a new one today once they process him. That's him with mob boss Joe Legambi. The concern here is that if Nicodemo faces a life sentence or even the death penalty in this case and he's convicted and the evidence against him at this point looks pretty good, even though he hasn't gone to trial yet, if he were to cooperate, he is suspected in at least one other mob murder. If he opens that can of worms here, the entire mob here in Philadelphia should be shaking in their boots right now.
All right, last 3 mob hits you and I covered in recent years.
Absolutely.
Unsolved. This one solved real quick, and usually, as you know, in mob hits, you have to get permission from the mob boss.
Right. Was this a sanctioned hit?
Yeah. Did this guy just act on his own and do something like on the spur of the moment because it was so sloppy? He left the gun and all the evidence, the mask in his car. Everybody got to look at his car because it was in the middle of the afternoon in a South Philly neighborhood.
Right.
This is way different than the usual mob.
Way different. We talked to Frank Field, the mob expert, yesterday, and Frank said to us, this is stupid, just plain stupid. If you wanted this guy, snatch him, he disappears, you never see him again. But instead, you shoot him, you leave him on the street right there, and then you drive your own car to your house. In that car, police found a sweatshirt wrapped around the gun with a mask, supposedly gloves. All of that stuff is being tested at the crime lab. Yesterday, the ballistics test came back. That gun matches the bullets they took out of the victim, Gino DiPietro here. Some people are asking, why was DiPietro whacked? That's the other question here. There are some thoughts out there that he was cooperating with authorities before, that he was asking questions about the Johnny Casasanto hit. That's John Casasanto, that he was killed inside his home in November 2003, shot in the back in his own living room by several people. Nicodemo is suspected in that case. He's been named on FBI documents in court as a prime suspect in that case. If he were to cooperate and unravel what happened at that case, some real trouble for a lot of guys.
Oh, so he has a clear motive for why he would want this person not to be talking.
Well, if he's talking about the Casasanto hit and you're allegedly involved in that, he hasn't been charged with it, and you're allegedly involved there, you wouldn't want him talking about that.
All right, Ed Jacobs, who represented Mike Matthews back during the Leonetti Scarfo trial, he's in this current trial. And his whole defense and all the other lawyers, Joe Santaguida, their whole defense is, hey, we're not violent. There's no more mob anymore.
That's the old mob.
This changes that maybe, right? As the defense is starting its case.
Completely. We talked to Ed Jacobs yesterday about all that, and the judge actually talked about this yesterday with all the lawyers. They're concerned that the headline in the Daily News yesterday, all over Fox, all the other TV stations in town about this mob murder, that the jurors are going to see this when you have a case where there's no mob murders, no mob violence charged. We didn't do any murders. We didn't do any violence. That's their theme as they open their defense next Tuesday. Well, that may be their defense, but when you look at what's going on the street right now, that could have an impact. The judge is going to question each and every juror on Tuesday morning, ask them, did you see any of the news reports about this, even though we warned them not to watch TV and read the newspapers. You know people do. He's going to ask each and every one of them, did you see this? Does it impact you? Will it affect you? Can you still deliver a verdict in this case? We'll see what happens here, but I got to tell you, this has got to raise a lot of doubts. I know the entire defense team, we talked to them yesterday, very upset about this.
How about the other unusual timing? Phil Leonetti, who admits 10 murders. He's the nephew of Nicodemo Scarfo, the old Holy Spirit grad down the shore. He puts out a book on Tuesday. Everybody's like, who's going to read this book? The Philly Mob's No More. And this hit happens the next day. It's almost like it was like, hey, hit somebody so my book gets popular.
Well, you know, that's a theory, I guess. But if you look at it right here, I mean, it doesn't hurt the sale of his books. And then he's yakking away in the Daily News yesterday about this hit and the Legambi folks and Joey Merlino and all these guys. So it gives him a platform to talk, and obviously that sells books. The judge warned the jury about that book. Don't go near it. Don't read that story in the newspaper. If you do, ignore it. It has nothing to do with this case. This is a real problem for the 7 guys on trial over there. And if I'm the rest of the guys in the mob in Philadelphia this morning, I'm not sleeping very well. at all.
All right, Dave Stratweiser, thank you for our mob talk. We really
Good to see
appreciate you
guys
coming
again.
in early. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks for having me.